Good evening, I'm Shane Jones. Leading the news at 7. It appears Barbadians will have to wait a bit longer for the much anticipated results for the dye testing of the injection well dug as part of the solution for the South Coast sewage problem. Tonight we'll find out why. We'll also get a general update from the Barbados Water Authority on its efforts to resolve the sewage issue. Well, joining us to provide the latest in the BWA's is the BWA's Director of Engineering, Charles Leslie. Mr. Leslie, good evening. Thank you for coming on.
Good evening, Shane. Thanks for being here.
Okay, Mr. Leslie, so let me get straight to it. The dye testing was done last week, and we were made to believe that in about 48 hours we would get the results. Now, because that has not happened and almost a week has passed, people are coming to their own and jumping to conclusions about what's happened. So tell me, why the delay? Okay,
Shane. The dye test was completed on Wednesday. The results left Barbados Wednesday evening. But because of the bad weather conditions that they have in the U.S., they had some delays in getting that to the laboratory. The lab that we were working with is a lab in Missouri, so they had some delays. We were in contact with them up to this evening, and they're promising that they will try to get them to us tomorrow. But in the meantime, the Barbados Water Authority will continuing with our injection well development. Today we completed the second injection well. Tomorrow we're moving on to the third one. And we are continuing with our efforts to keep the pumps at the plant operational. And in doing that is maintaining a relatively dry state on the streets of Barbados. So that's basically an update on the situation over at the South Coast.
Okay, let's walk back a bit to the dye testing. We're all hoping for positive results. In the event that there is the results are negative, what is the next course of action?
Okay, either way, we are going to be sitting with our regulatory agents, the Ministry of Health, EPD, and we'll be discussing the results that come back from the laboratory, and they will advise us as to which direction we should go in. So either way, we're going to be sitting with them and discussing the results, because we have started this whole process as a team effort, and we'd like to continue working in that frame of mind with the other agencies.
Okay, and how important is the test?
The test is important because it gives us a sense of comfort as to whether or not any effluent or any contaminants will be coming back to the locations that we tested at. We are fairly confident that that will not happen, because as we indicated last time, we were going to be injecting the effluent down below a sand layer, and that sand layer is going to offer us some sort of protection. The waste will be flowing between that sand layer and what we call the base of coral, and that will be flowing all the way out to the sea. So we're not anticipating that we will get any negative results coming back. Okay. But we're going to be working with the agencies.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but this is a national issue. Everyone is talking about it. It's a hot button topic, and there are so many experts, armchair or real, out there. We've been getting some calls in the newsroom. One of the calls we've heard that someone was saying that there is water in one of the injection wells. What's the story there?
We have drilled right down into the seawater lens. And in the development of these wells, once you have completed the well, what we do is we go through a development process. And this development process is basically pumping air and water into the well to remove any fine materials that would have dropped in while we were doing the drilling. And that is what you will really see if you pass there at the end of the process while we're doing that development of the wells. So there is seawater down there because we have drilled right down into the seawater, and that's where we intend to inject the effluent. That effluent will go down and mix with that highly concentrated seawater, and that will allow any bacteria or anything like that to be killed off as it is going into that environment.
Okay, so nothing adverse?
No, nothing. Okay. We don't expect anything adverse.
Okay, right. Traveling on the South Coast now, past couple of days I realized we've had some dry streets. So the days of those videos circulating on social media with effluent bubbling up and things, are we past those days?
Well, we are trying to maintain it in as dry a state as possible, but that all depends on our ability to keep all of the pumps running. We had just brought in a new 10-inch pump, so we don't anticipate that will fail on us, and the other pumps, the staff is working around the clock 24 hours a day trying to keep those pumps operational so that we can, keep those streets as dry as possible.
Okay. I know something that I'm concerned about, and I know you guys at the BWA are concerned about, is the testing of potable water still ongoing?
Yes, the testing of potable water does not stop. We do testing every Tuesday and Thursday with the EPD department, and those results go to the Ministry of Health. But every Tuesday and Thursday we do testing, and we like rotate sites, so there is no one site that you test regularly. We go right across our distribution system testing the potable water.
Okay,
quality.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Okay, thank you very much, Shane.
Okay, wonderful. That was Mr. Leslie, who is the Barbados Water Authority rep tonight. Barbadians could face stiff penalties if they bring frivolous claims of sexual harassment against their co-workers. This point is being reinforced by a senior officer from the Labour Department, and it comes as reports begin to surface. Kareem Smith tells us more.
The Labour Department will not take lightly people who make claims of sexual harassment just to get their colleagues in trouble. Acting Senior Labour Officer Linda Bowen says individual workplaces will have to address claims of sexual harassment, but the department will not hesitate to ensure that justice is served and that the provisions of the Act are interpreted correctly.
There are penalties attached to if it is found out that it is indeed frivolous. But we are supposed to investigate and come to our own findings. And one of the things that the Act also provides for is that we mediate in these matters, and mediate is something very different from conciliate. It gives us a little bit more strength and authority. So once we conduct our investigations and we find that it is indeed a frivolous matter, it is there's a penalty attached to that.
She says just 3 months after the Employment Sexual Harassment Prevention Act was proclaimed, Barbadians have already started coming forward with claims.
Suffice to say that we have been asked to investigate a couple of allegations of sexual harassment in the workplace. So as people become more familiar with what this is all about, they are coming forward to inquire, well, where do I stand? Because you would appreciate that this now changes the whole dynamic in the workplace. Because Barbados is a society that embraces a particular culture.
The Act proclaimed on December 15th last year defines sexual harassment as the use of sexually suggestive words, comments, jokes, gestures or actions that annoy, alarm or abuse a person. Kareem Smith, CBC News.
From April 1st, changes will be made to the Barbados National Drug Formulary, which will involve removing some drugs and adding others. According to a statement from the Barbados Drug Service, the Drug Formulary Committee recently undertook a comprehensive review of some of the therapeutic categories within the formulary. The statement says this was done in consultation with a cross-section of stakeholders, including doctors and pharmacists. People who benefit from free drugs under the formulary are advised to find out if they will be affected by checking with their medical practitioners. The formulary is updated every 2 years to ensure that the best and most appropriate pharmaceuticals are available to the public. The Drug Service has advised people whose medications will no longer be available on the formulary that their current prescriptions can be repeated until the end of September. This is provided that the prescription was initially filled before the end of March. Categories of people who receive free medication are those aged 65 and over, children under 16 years, and everyone who receives prescribed formulary drugs for the treatment of diabetes, hypertension, asthma, cancer, glaucoma, and epilepsy. The Commonwealth remains an important group of nations. This is according to New Zealand High Commissioner to Barbados, Jan Henderson. She was speaking during a cocktail reception at her office residence as part of celebrations to mark Commonwealth Week at the official residence last night. Among the dignitaries, Governor-General Her Excellency Dame Sandra Mason and Chief Justice Sir Marston Gibson. Ms. Anderson says the 53 nations that make up the Commonwealth can help address modern-day issues like climate change, cyber threats, and environmental concerns.
The Commonwealth connects 2.4 billion people. It is a unique grouping, bringing together countries from across Asia, Africa, the Pacific, the Caribbean. We speak hundreds of languages and practice many religions. The thread that binds us is a shared heritage and a commitment to peace, democracy, and human rights. This connection is invaluable and has withstood many testing political times. It is the reason that Sir Garfield Sobers is as well known in New Zealand as he is in the Caribbean.
Chair of the Royal Commonwealth Society, Barbados Branch, Cheryl Seeley Bell, thanks Ms. Henderson for her continued support of the Society.
Our partnership with the High Commission on the Sir Clifford Husband Agricultural Challenge has been a tremendous success, and we hope that this will continue over the years. I know that tonight will be the last Commonwealth Week reception hosted at your home by yourself and your husband, David, and I would like to say thank you again for opening your home to so many of us.
Barbados' readiness for a tsunami put to the test. That story and much more coming up after the break. Barbados' readiness to respond to a tsunami was tested today. Whole town was used for the simulation, which produced some very interesting results. The tests were conducted as part of activities to mark Caribbean Wave 2018, an annual exercise designed to assist tsunami preparedness efforts throughout the Caribbean. Kishma Sinjist was in Whole Town and filed this report.
Alerts sent via email, cellular and radio interrupt signaled the start of the exercise. Officials here at St. James Primary wasted no time in ushering students to high ground.
The messages warned a tsunami caused by a magnitude 8.6 earthquake off Barbados was coming. Principal Ingrid Prescott was impressed by the response of staff and students, particularly the juniors.
The little children, the 3-year-olds, they surprised me. They got out of the school so quickly that I could not believe when the sweepers came and told me everything is clear, we can go. And the only problem I had was getting up the hill.
Okay, what do you roll call students and staff?
I have on roll, I have 240 students, but 191 students were here today. I have 17 staff members, myself will make 18, and I have 7 ancillary staff. 1 person is absent today.
For the students, it was a learning experience.
Important because the effort happened for where you will know what to do.
When tsunami coming, you gotta run to where you're going, and if you're going to the building, you might get washed away. We walk up the road briskly, and then we walk up, and we have to walk back down the street again.
The drill also helped to identify some of the challenges that can arise during a real incident.
They did manage to make it up the hill, but one child, she apparently forgot her inhaler in her bag, and the other one, he was feeling a bit tired, but he's good to go now.
Okay.
So there were only 2 children out of the whole roll who had issues.
Okay. A number of businesses, including Scotiabank, Mango Bay Hotel, the Barbados Revenue Authority, the Royal Barbados Police Force along with a roving response team, the Barbados Fire Service and some parents and guardians took part in the drill. The Department of Emergency Management says overall, the simulation was moderately successful.
All the evacuation went fairly well. I would have preferred that more businesses and more organizations took part in the exercise. It really would assist you in gauging what you need to tweak if you need to tweak anything, and how you would perform if something really happened.
There were, however, some aspects of the Common Alerting Protocol, an international standard Barbados has adopted, which DEM Director Kerry Hines says will have to be retweaked.
There were some aspects that we know we definitely need to improve. And I would like to thank Barbados today for signing up for the Common Alerting Protocol. We have over 1,000 persons who would have signed up in the last couple days or so. So thanks for that.
Whole Town is required to complete 10 areas in its preparedness efforts before the UNESCO Recognition Board can issue the town with a Tsunami Ready Certificate of Recognition. Activities also continue this month as Barbados marks Tsunami and Earthquake Smart Month. Kishma Senjis, CBC News.
A regional disaster expert wants local hoteliers to implement an emergency communication system that would work in the aftermath of a major storm or natural disaster. James Lionel Ellis, who is a telecommunications manager from St. Lucia, believes more amateur radio systems could be used. His warning comes ahead of the 2018 hurricane season, which officially starts on June 1st.
If something was to happen to Barbados like that, can two hotels who are within a mile from each other be able to communicate together? Stop thinking about the competition. Everybody will be helpless. So have you set up, and I'm just putting it to you, I'm not saying there is or there isn't, have you set up a method of communicating between one hotel and another hotel within a 5-mile radius?
With over $20 million in renovations earmarked for tourism-related properties this year, an appeal has been made for the associated concessions to be made available more quickly. Under the Tourism Development Act Amendment 2014, the range of areas for concessions were extended. Head of the Barbados Hotel and Tourism Association, Rudy Grant, made the plea at the association's first quarterly meeting for 2018 at the Hilton Hotel yesterday.
It is still taking too long for members, when they apply to access the concessions, to be able to receive those concessions, and we have to make every effort to ensure that there's more timely delivery between the application and the final approval.
Despite progress being made in bringing awareness to the rights and needs of the disabled, some Barbadians are still making it difficult for them to get around. President of the Barbados National Organization of the Disabled, Colbert Ashby, says people are still parking indiscriminately in spaces reserved for the disabled. He also highlighted an additional practice which he says is causing difficulty for members of the disabled community.
In certain parts of Bridgetown, taxi cars, and you have some vending being done in the area where persons with disability have to travel with their canes, wheelchairs, and even walkers, and that's still being done to this day. So we want Bajans to be mindful and be considerate of persons with disability, because we are part of this society, we are part of this nation, and I can be disabled today and it may be you tomorrow. No one knows.
Mr. Ashby was speaking during the launch of Barnard's fundraising walk, which will come off on March 31st at 7 a.m. It's named Walk a Mile in My Shoes, and proceeds will go towards the training and transportation of people living with disabilities. The public is encouraged to simulate a disability during the walk, for example, by walking blindfolded or with crutches. Mr. Ashby says the walk will also support their ongoing efforts to bring awareness.
There's a lot of lobbying, there's a lot of work that needs to be done, and we welcome persons who can volunteer in assistance persons with disability in making sure that this thing happens, that persons with disability enjoy the very fabric of this society.
Members of a St. Michael community would like a permanent fix to an environmental problem that's been plaguing them for almost a decade. More from Kareem Smith.
This is a dumping ground. Everything from old car parts, mattresses, and even the nasty stench of dead animals. And in case you're wondering, no, it's not the landfill at Vaucluse in St. Thomas. It's smack in the middle of a residential area in St. Michael.
We have complained a lot when we go down there. If I take a walk down there and I see, as I see cars coming down here with garbage on it, I would call the ministry, because it will affect me in the end. And I do not know, because sometimes you get the smell, because out here is windy, you get the stench. Why do that? It's not by you. If you want to get rid of it, go and do it legally.
That's Joycelyn Smart, who lives in Pleasant View, Cave Hill, St. Michael. She says for the past 8 years, she and her neighbors have been forced to live with the consequences of indiscriminate illegal dumping. She says they've been complaining continuously, and while officials from government agencies have come to clean the illegal dump as recently as 5 months ago, she now wants a permanent fix to the problem.
Maybe you gotta put a camera out there and have it monitored from time to time. That's the only other thing I could think of, because I mean you can't have somebody down there all the time. That's going to cost somebody some money. And then I guess an appeal to the people: please do not litter. Do not litter.
Acting Chief Medical Officer Dr. Kenneth George says he's unaware of the situation but will check with the relevant department. Kareem Smith, CBC News.
After the break, we'll check in with our regional neighbors. In St. Lucia, the authorities have launched an investigation into the deaths of 4 people who are suspected to have ingested a suspicious substance.
One man is happy to be alive after ingesting a substance which has apparently left 4 people, including a close friend, dead in Cooleytown, Marigot. Caleb Joseph claims that he had a bout of severe diarrhea after taking a sip at a funeral reception last week. The pain was so severe that he was rushed to the hospital. He was not the only one complaining of feeling unwell. However, his close friend and 3 other people with similar symptoms were not so lucky. They passed away over the weekend. Joseph alleges that doctors initially thought the health scare was attributed to a virus.
I get a friend of mine. So he tell me the same partner that died. He tell me though, if I'm from around, I take it. You understand? So when I drink it, I seen it. It's wrong. It was wrong, but wrong. But I don't know what thing it was. But when it did not go with me, so I just throw it away. They check on me. They tell me nothing. They say it's wrong with drinks. I tell them is the doctor tell me there's nothing happened to me.
However, more details have come to light in the past few days. There are unconfirmed reports that the substance might be linked to an alleged robbery of spirits at an establishment in the north of the island. However, the police have yet to substantiate these claims. 2 other Cooleytown residents were hospitalized following the suspicious deaths.
Yesterday, there have been 2 in hospital, but they're still alive. But before that, there have been 1, he still come back.
While some residents remain baffled by the tragic events, others are convinced that some know the origins of the supposed deadly cocktail.
Who sell it to? I mean, who give them that to sell, or who was spreading it around? That's the main thing we want to know. They hiding that. They know, but they are not.
The victims include a 45-year-old woman and 2 men aged 35 and 40. Residents are worried that this substance might affect many more.
In Ghana, some Gaisuko pensioners from the east coast of Demerara are objecting to a move to have their pension paid through the bank. They say it's not feasible. Roydon James reports.
This group of pensioners who previously worked on the East Coast sugar estates said they were told that at the end of this month they will no longer be receiving their pension monies from the pay office but rather from commercial banks, and that was the final decision. The pensioners though are not in favor of that move because of a number of issues, mainly that they are not holders of bank accounts. They explained that given the location of their home, it's not financially feasible as well for them to access their pension.
When we don't go and go through all the stress for go to the bank, guys, people at the bank will tell me, Gaisuku ain't put money yet. You tell me what happened to them. I accustomed for collect my money weekly because they little pocket piece.
Additionally, the pensioners said that they were also informed that they will now receive their benefits monthly and not weekly anymore, and they were not consulted before all these changes were made.
You telling me what you want and you didn't come and ask me or we what we want. How that could be fair with me? We solved the estate.
If this, as the president said, good life for all. I want to know if this kind of life, a good life.
Calls for a response from Gaisuko head office on Tuesday proved futile.
In Jamaica, the government has reportedly agreed not to go ahead with payment of increased salary and retroactive amounts to teachers this month. The Jamaica Teachers Association had taken issue with the payment of the 5% increase, which will cover the first year of the 4-year deal. It says the move is unprecedented in light of the fact that the current salary negotiation has not been concluded or an agreement signed. That issue, as well as government's insistence it will not present teachers with a better wage offer, led to the educators calling in sick since Monday. The Labour Ministry held a meeting with the JTA and representatives of the Finance and Public Service Ministry last evening in a bid to end the impasse. JTA President Georgia Waugh Richards says progress was made and it was agreed that negotiations will continue. Well, a glimpse into the world of sports is just ahead, but before we get there, here's a tip from Cooperators General Insurance.
This tip of the day is brought to you by Cooperators General Insurance Company Limited. Insurance the way you want it to be.
Some supplements are made in unsafe surroundings, like a basement or kitchen lab, and can be contaminated with steroids and other banned substances. This fact is brought to you compliments the National Anti-Doping Commission.